The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Start recording. All right. So thank you for joining us for how an employee app can boost productivity in your workplace. My name is Amon Atkinson. I am a marketing manager here at AppSpace. So I'll kind of be your MC, I guess, for a better term. Um, and I'm going to just some just quick housekeeping rules. Please make sure your mics are muted. We got a lot of good information for you, so we want to be sure everyone will be able to hear it. Please also, this webinar will be available on demand. So we'll be sending a recording out after the webinar. So please make sure that you have AppSpace added to your safe sender list so that you can be sure that you have it. And then also, we're going to be having some live polls throughout. So if you have your phone near you, if you can go to Slido, S is in Sam, L is in Larry, I is in Indigo, D is in Dog, and O is in Orange.com. And you'll type in this code down here, or you can scan it with your phone, scan the QR code, put in the passcode, and you'll be able to participate in our live demos, live polls, and then you'll also be able to see the results live on screen. That's a cool part of Slido. So without much further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our presenter. So um, first off, we have Mr. David Fleck. He's our Senior Director of Product and Partner Marketing. He has a great head of hair, and he is going to give you a lot of great information today. And then also, we're going to have Mr. Thomas Philippart Defoy, or TPDF as we like to call him. He's our Executive Vice President of Product Experiences. He's going to lead you through a demo, and you will be amazed by the end of it. Please believe me when I tell you. So without much further ado, I'm going to pass it off to David, and he's going to get us started.
All right. So I'm going to get us started here, just jump right into it on employee engagement, because that's what we're really here to talk about today. Is we talked about how does an employee app improve productivity, or how can you use an employee app to improve productivity? And really, it all starts with employee engagement. I know we've heard that term a lot, especially now in this day and age where we've got a lot of dispersed or employees spread out among a lot of different locations, whether at home, at the office, on the go. Employee engagement kind of has a new, it's more important than it ever was before, let me say that. So, but first we want to talk about, like, what is an engaged employee? Like, what does that actually mean? Because if we know what we're trying to accomplish, then we can better figure out how to get there. So first of all, we'll see this stat from a Gallup poll. This blows my mind, really. An engaged employee outperforms an unengaged employee by 202%. That's incredible. I get it and I understand why, but that's important to know, is if we're trying to talk about improving productivity with our employees, especially in today's hybrid workplace, keeping our employees engaged is going to be paramount to improve their productivity. All right, so what do we mean by that? Just a couple different definitions here of what an engaged employee is from a couple different places. So Quantum Workplace says employee engagement is the strength of the mental and emotional connection employees feel towards their place of work. I think that's really important. It's that mental and emotional side of things that we're trying to tap into, and that we're trying to reach them with things, content and information, and a culture that really makes them feel at home, comfortable, safe, and emotionally connected. That's going to spur that passion on. Gallup, again, engaged employees are those who are involved, enthusiastic, or committed to their work and workplace. A little bit more of a broad definition there, but I like that word enthusiastic there, is that anybody can come in and just punch a clock in, punch a clock out, and get their work done. But when you have those enthusiastic employees that are really fired up about what they do, then they're going to be more productive. They're going to stay longer. You're going to improve retention of those top talent, especially in today's age of the Great Resignation. So I really like that. Like, how do we make them enthusiastic, and how do we help promote them to be enthusiastic about their work? You see the next one here. Engagement is an employee's willingness and ability to contribute to a company's success. A little bit slightly different on there. How invested are they in the actual end success of the company and what they're doing? So, that goes beyond what we're talking about. There's the company success. So it goes beyond just their role, maybe. It goes beyond just their day-to-day activities, and it goes into their willingness to contribute to the overall company's success and bottom line. And sometimes that means going above and beyond, doing things that, that's not my job. You don't hear that from engaged employees because they're committed to what the overall company is doing. And the last one here is employee engagement is the level of an employee's psychological investment in their organization. And again, that kind of goes back to that first one where it's that mental side of things. How committed are they, and how, from a psychological standpoint, how connected are they to their work? All right, so how do we actually create an engaged employee? So we already know that an engaged employee is more productive. And then we understand the definitions of what an engaged employee is. All right, so it's like, great, we want to create these engaged employees. Well, how do we actually do that? Which is, the crux of what we're here to talk about today. So you need to pay attention to the employee experience. That's a lot of what drives the engagement. There's a lot that goes into the experience an employee has. So if you just want to kind of put a definition to it, the employee experience really encapsulates what people encounter and experience during their tenure at an organization. And so a couple of things that employee experience directly impact. So if we make a great experience for their employee, what are the things that's actually going to impact and influence for us as a company and for them as an employee? So first thing you see there, exactly what we talked about before, is engagement. That positive experience correlates to better engagement. That's, I think, a no-brainer, and it makes sense for sure, but it's something that you need to be thinking about all the time, because our employees are having different experiences depending on where they work, whether they're at home, at the office, at the coffee shop, they're overlanding and they're working from a campsite somewhere. That's possible these days. And what we need to do what we can to make sure that they have that positive experience no matter where they are, because once you start having that negative experience, you start to disengage more and more. So we need to help control that as much as possible. The other thing that an employee experience really impacts is retention, and I alluded to that just a second ago, but we're in the midst of the Great Resignation. Some say we're in the middle of it, some say we're at the end of it. Depending on what your take is, it's happening, it's going on, it's a real thing, and we need to be focused on how do we retain and our top talent, attract them first, and then retain our top talent. And employees that are more likely to remain at their organization when they have a positive experience. That positive experience leads to more engagement, and they remain at that organization. The next part is recruitment. I kind of alluded to that a second ago, is that you need to attract the top talent to your team. I mean, to improve productivity, you need to have the right people, right? And so that all comes down to recruitment. And attracting and hiring the right people is a lot of times based on referrals, recommendations, or even the review sites that you see, whether it's Glassdoor or on LinkedIn or something like that. It's a real thing where just like people are out there, I don't know what the stat is, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know people do, an incredible amount of research before they purchase something. Whether it's, something small that they're gonna, put in their home, a little piece of furniture, or something larger. People are out there doing a lot of research before they buy things, and they're doing the same thing before they get a job right now. Whether looking for their next career move or their next position, they're looking for review sites, they're looking for referrals from friends, and they're going to be more informed before they even get to the interview than ever before. And so what we need to be doing is making sure we're trying to control that narrative in a way or affect that narrative, maybe not control, but we need to affect that narrative the best way possible. And that's by, creating this positive experience for all of our employees so that they're referring others to come and work at our organizations. And in the end, the employee experience, a positive employee experience really affects your bottom line. And that's kind of what we're talking about here with productivity. That is going to increase your bottom line. So engaged and invested employees are more productive, like we talked about, more focused on meeting and exceeding the company's goals. And that's what we're here to do, because most of our companies are here to make money and turn a profit. We wanted to help with that. We want to also provide a great experience for our employees so they like where they work and they like where they are. And all of that really works together to create a great company culture where everybody's winning, everybody feels good about what they're doing. And we want to do what we can as organizations to help foster that wonderful experience for our employees. All right, so what we're here today to talk about, again, is that what's the tool? How do we do this? Now we know some of the things that we're trying to do: create a positive experience, create that engagement, improve productivity, improve the bottom line, improve retention. Okay, what are we actually going to use to make that happen? And so what we want to talk about today is an employee app. An employee app is a great way to help create connected, engaged employees. And so one of the things we're going to talk about is keeping your employees connected no matter where they are. And that was goal number one, right? We have all of these employees working in different locations, and we want to make sure that we can connect with them and make sure they feel connected, engaged with us, no matter where they are working from. So some of the ways that we can do that with an employee app. So alerts and notifications get pushed right to their phone, so which is really great, right? How much time do people spend on their phone a day, whether they're at work or not? Mine's right next to me, and or it's in your pocket. And if you can buzz them in their pocket and reach them where they're already used to getting that information, you're going to increase engagement that much more because they're already used to that. The other thing with the employee app is that you can connect it to Slack or other messaging platforms. So that is a great way that employees and companies are staying connected with each other, and colleagues are collaborating, is through things like Slack and Microsoft Teams or WebEx, these enterprise messaging apps. And by connecting your employee app to those, you can deliver the same message that's to your employee app as that's going to these enterprise messaging apps. The great thing is that a lot of times employee app can be used without a corporate email address. We have 80% of the world's workforce is frontline workers, and a lot of those are deskless workers, and a lot of those don't have a corporate email address. The great thing is by using an employee app, you can let employees access that without having an employee or a corporate email address a lot of times. And then the other good thing, like we talked about before, an employee app is oftentimes accessible through iOS and Android apps, so it's a native app on their phone. So you have options. You can do it on the desktop or embed it in a Microsoft Teams application, or download the native app on your phone, just like anybody's used to. So many apps that we're using these days, but you can use them in a way that fits your workflow and your style, whether that's within enterprise messaging app, whether it's just a desktop on the browser, or with a native app on your phone. So one of the great things here is that what we were talking about is we're trying to reach employees where they are. And like we were talking about before, they're all over the place. That's one of the things that you can do, is that same message that you want to put on digital signage, for instance, can go to the employee app, or vice versa. Maybe it's something that you're publishing to a company announcement, or maybe it's a town hall or something like that. What's great is that same notification, that same content is delivered across all the different channels that you can use to reach your audience, and in this case, your employees and your workforce. And you can do that really simply with create it once, publish it everywhere. So that's that simple authoring, easy to create with some great templates. But then omni-channel publishing, where it can be published across multiple different channels to make sure you're reaching your employees exactly where they are, and not just using one channel, or the worst, just relying on email. If you're just relying on email to reach your employees, it's getting ignored. I promise you, I have over 700 unread emails in my inbox right now, kid you not. And hopefully my boss isn't listening to that. But that's the nature of it today, is that you have to reach them where they are, and you can't rely on just one channel to do that. And then in the end, what you also need to be doing is using the content analytics to understand, okay, how are they engaging with my content? What content am I pushing to employees? And what's actually being viewed and seen, so that you understand what matters most. Okay, so we're going to take our first poll. What we want to do here, you can scan the QR code if you've got a phone, or go to slido.com and put in that passcode there. But we want to understand, based on what we were just talking about, what solutions are you currently using for your workplace communications? A lot of digital signage. Are you putting up content on displays around you? Is it an employee app? Are you already using an employee app of some sort? Maybe it's email campaigns or even text messaging. Do you have a screensaver that you're using, or maybe it's just good old-fashioned paper and posters around the office? So if you go to slido.com and put in that passcode there, we'll be able to see these results here. I'll give it a second. And I can tell how many people are on and how many people are voting. So come on, don't be shy. Get on there and vote, and let's see what people are saying here. Because I know we have a lot more than that. Digital signage is looking like it's the king right now. And for those of you using AppSpace on the call, that makes sense. That is definitely where we've come from, where AppSpace was born. Obviously, our platform has grown to be much more than digital signage for everything for the workplace experience. So the great news about that is, if you are using digital signage already for your employee comms, with AppSpace, you can connect that to your employee app and deliver it across multiple channels. We're going to talk about that a little bit. I'm kind of setting the stage for what we're really here for, is Thomas's section, where he's really going to show us this in action. So email campaigns, that's good to see. I think we might be able to touch on that a little bit. Paper and posters, that's obviously the legacy of how people have been doing it for a long time. I do see a couple on the employee app, so that's good to see that we have some using an employee app already. Screensavers, and nobody with text messaging. I think text messaging is going to become even more important when possible to reach some of our deskless workers. So that's something I think we should think about. It's something we're thinking about at AppSpace on how we can help with that. All right. Well, we did start to get a little bit more. Still looks like we have quite a few shy people out there, but I understand. That's fine. We appreciate those that voted, and we'll have more opportunity in the future to do that. So interesting mix there. It's good to see. Oh, we got a little bit more. It's good to see that there are some employee app users out there already, but a lot on email campaigns and digital signage, which is obviously great in a way that we can take that and augment that with an employee app. So we'll talk a little bit more about it. So thanks for everybody that voted on this particular poll. So I want to talk a little bit about a couple things on the AppSpace employee app, and how we kind of take that beyond just the employee comms and into the workplace. Employee experience is kind of half of the equation. The other, what we really want to be thinking about, is the entire workplace experience in totality. And I won't go into it, but the workplace means something a little bit different today than it did before, with the hybrid workplace and with employees all over and working from home or working from different places. There's the physical workplace, there's the digital workplace, and we need to really unify that. So when they are in the physical workplace, they come into the office, what we want to be trying to do is create that safe and secure environment. And what we can help with that is by having booking building passes ahead of time, or booking a workspace. Maybe they don't have a desk that's dedicated to them anymore. And then enforcing different rules and policies at those checkpoints, either at registration or at check-in. And all of that can be done through an employee app. You have your comm side of it, and you're going to see this in a little bit, but you also have the reservations and your places side of the employee app, where they can see what's available, see the rooms that are available, book right there and make their reservations. Once they do, they're actually going to be able to view the reservations that they have for that day, that week, and they can manage those. They need to extend them, move them, cancel them, add somebody to that reservation. You can do that to try and help foster that collaboration. And then also in that is you can look and see who's in the office that day. There's a show my colleagues button that you can actually go see who's in the office to understand and foster that collaboration, especially in a hybrid environment. That becomes really important, and that becomes a part of engagement, like we were talking about. An employee on an island probably doesn't feel as engaged as somebody who gets to collaborate with their counterparts and their colleagues. And doing that in person is something that is, more rare these days than it has been before. So when you do come to the office, you want to know who's going to be there and what's the right space that we can book so that we can work together and collaborate in person when that's needed. And in the end, all of you want to see those analytics. So the back end, what spaces are being booked, what are they being used for, who's using them, understanding that and how your space is being used, taking that data, maybe exporting it into some business analytics tools like a Power BI or something like that, really helps you understand the physical office and how that's being used. And all that's being driven through the employee app with reservations, being able to look at maps and floor plans, and then check in with your phone or scan a QR code at the office using your phone at the room panel like you see here. So you really kind of connect that digital workplace like we were talking about with the physical workplace with the employee app kind of helping be that bridge. All right, so another poll here. I didn't want to let you wait too long here. I know these are fun. So what solution do you currently use for your workplace management? So things like visitor management, room scheduling, desk reservation. Do you use some type of calendar plugin? So are you taking a third party, whether it's AppSpace or something like that, and plugging it into like your Microsoft or your Outlook calendar? Are you using workplace kiosks? So when people come in, can they check in using a kiosk or use it for wayfinding? Can they pull up a map and kind of see where they need to go and use that for wayfinding using some type of interactive kiosk? Are you using your employee app? Is your employee app just for comms, or are you also using it for the workplace management side of things like we talked about for maybe room scheduling or desk booking? Or is it none of them? Are you not using anything and this is all kind of new stuff for you? So I'll give a couple minutes here. Room scheduling, I think, is the easiest to use. I mean, that's built into a lot of calendars like a Microsoft Outlook or Google Calendar, depending on which one you're on. Obviously, you can schedule rooms there. Hopefully, you go beyond that and put it on room panels so that you can book rooms and see what's available. Desk reservation, obviously, I can see that it's high up there. That's becoming more key with both desk hoteling, where you reserve it before you come in, reserve that desk before you come into the office, or hot desking, where you come in and actually reserve at the office, at the desk there, which you can do both with an employee app is a great way to do those. Visitor management, I do see, is becoming more and more important, especially as we're kind of adhering to new rules and permissions on how many people can be in the office, who can come into the office, and you want to have that history of who is there and when to make sure that you're adhering to maybe new compliance rules for your location. You see at least one or two people there using the calendar plugin, which is good to see. Like I said, there's a lot that you can do natively with Microsoft Outlook or Google Calendar or something, but there are ways to enhance those features to take them to the next level to really provide that great experience for your employees. And then we have some that not using any of them, totally fine. I imagine that's something that you're probably thinking about doing as we get further into the return and now post-return to the office. And now how are we now managing our workplace experience in the new hybrid environment? So again, room scheduling is key. Not a surprise for me with desk reservation being number 2. So we'll touch on a little bit on how both of these things and the rest of these solutions can be integrated into your employee app as well. All right, so I'm going to steal a little bit of Thomas's thunder just real quick. Like I said, the AppSpace employee app, one of the great things about it is native to Android and iOS, so you can download your mobile app or you can use it as a web app on the desktop, and you can see it just seamlessly translates all the same information's right there. So you have both options depending on what makes most sense for your employees. The other thing about our employee app that we were talking about before is that you can easily embed it directly into Microsoft Teams. You know, a lot of companies are directing a lot of the employee engagement, communications, collaboration, all goes through Microsoft Teams, and we totally understand that. And one of the things we want to do is make sure that AppSpace and the features and solutions that we provide seamlessly fit into your natural workflow. And so what we want to do is make sure you can do things like embed the employee app so you don't have to go to another app. If that's not your workflow, if you don't want to be in another app, you're working exclusively in Microsoft Teams, for example, that's great. You can embed the full featured experience right there so you never have to leave and you're still using those same solutions, those same solutions that you use every day. All right. Oh, clicked one too many times. I do want to touch on this, and Thomas is going to touch on it as well. But to set up kind of this journey that an employee might find in the hybrid workplace. You know, it's going to start over there with the employee app or the Microsoft Teams embedded app. Maybe they go in there, they see what's going on, they make their reservation for the day, they get their notifications on the town hall or something that's going, or maybe there's something that's a new broadcast or alert of something that they need to know right then, and they can see that on the employee app. They can also go in there, like I said, book their room, book their desk, or even invite a visitor to come into the office. Then once they come into the office, you can see they're greeted with digital signage. A lot of that same information, maybe that town hall, the information about what's coming up, they see it on that lobby when they enter. Maybe that broadcaster alert of something that was important that was going on is right there on that digital signage as well. If a visitor was invited to come in, that's where they can check in for that visitor management. That happens during that kiosk, so they can check in, they can print a badge, and the host, maybe it's the employee that invited that visitor, gets an alert and a notification through their employee app or through Microsoft Teams or Slack or WebEx or something like that. And then when the visitor gets there, or maybe the employee gets there, maybe they don't always come into that office, so now they get on to use the workplace kiosk. So they're like, okay, I booked that desk, but I'm only here once a month and I can't even remember where that desk is. So they can use the wayfinding on a kiosk to say, okay, oh yeah, desk is over there, it's in the corner. That's how I get there. Or maybe the visitor or there's somebody, the person's there to see somebody in person. They can pull up the corporate directory. Oh, okay, that's where that person is. That's where they sit, and they can get actually alerts to that person as well. Then once they're in the office, you know, they kind of go into there. Hey, we're here. Maybe we found there's a couple of people that are here. We're kind of talking. Let's go into a room. They can just go and book that room right there. Go to a room panel, find the right room that's available for them, either through the employee app or go up and scan it with the QR code for contactless reservation, or just use the room panel right there to check in. And then once they're in there, that in-room signage kicks on. You've got your collaboration display going on. You can see that same messaging, or it connects directly to the meeting that you just booked. Also, broadcast alerts that were on your employee app, maybe on digital signage, they can also pop up in the room if necessary. Then they come back. Maybe they whether or not they reserved their desk beforehand, or maybe they reserved their desk, or they find they need a desk. Either way, they can, while they're in the office, go up to a desk, find one that's available, book it right there, or check into the one that they reserved prior to coming in. And all the time they're in the office, digital signage is being updated to pushing messages, not just employee comms, but workplace comms. And like we're talking about, to visitors, guests, and it's specific to the different areas that you might be in, whether it's an employee break room or a cafe or around the office. And now a lot of that same information and content you're seeing on digital signage is also right there in the employee app for that continuity. So they always feel like they're in the know, they always feel like they're engaged, and and it's the same message everywhere. And that's that omni-channel publishing. And then it all comes back to maybe something on the digital signage, makes them go to their employee app, whether it's on their phone or on Microsoft Teams or something like that, something on there alerts them, oh, we got that sales meeting coming up. I should probably go back in there and book my space. And then the whole process continues. So you can kind of see that full user journey. Okay, that's enough slideware. That's enough of me. I think it's time to see it in action. So at this point, I'm going to pass it over to Thomas and let him kind of actually show you all of everything that we're talking about so you can see it in person. So I will stop talking and I will let Thomas take over.
Here we go, unmute. Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this webinar. You should see my screen. David, if you can just give me a thumbs up. I'm going to share my camera as well.
Yes. Looks to
can
me
you see it?
Yep.
Yep. All right, great. All right. Well, David gave you a great overview of AppSpace and the overall story. So I think there's nothing better than just showing you live how this works. So this is the AppSpace employee app. I'm in the web view of the app. I'm also going to share my phone here so you can actually see the mobile view. So that's the iOS view of the app. This is the web view of the app. It's a fully responsive app, which means that you can access this app on your browser on your personal device, like your phone, and you will see that the app resizes accordingly. So it's meant to work regardless of the device that you're running onto. Sorry, I've got the GoToMeeting in the way. Additionally to that, as David mentioned, we now have an embedded version of the app in Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to bring up Microsoft Teams. And as you can see, this is my Teams client. You have the AppSpace app there on the left. You can organize it wherever you want it to show up. And you have feature parity, whether you're on the web app, the iOS app, the Android app, or the embedded app in Teams. This is a unique offering in the market, so we're really excited with the opportunity you have there. As a user, you log into the app either using single sign-on, or if you're a frontline worker, we have the opportunity to allow a one-time password login through an SMS message. And once you create your credentials, you will have access to the features that have been enabled for your user profile. As a user, in the settings section, you can specify your preferred home location. In this case, we are demoing from a Persona brand. So this is a fake brand. So don't go look up Nexera Tower. You won't see it. But as you can see, I can select my preferred location. I can also select my preferred language. So if you're like me, Belgium, but French speaking, you can actually change the language to have the app in your preferred language. So let's look at the app and what are the main capabilities. On the top, you have the navigation bar. Any of those features can be enabled or disabled by the administrator of the system. So if you are a frontline worker and you don't need any of the workplace management capabilities, such as booking a room, booking a desk, managing your reservations, or inviting visitors, then you will not see those features up there. In the same way, if the administrator does not believe that you require the employee come side, you can also turn those on or off independently. When we look at the app, below that navigation bar, I am welcomed back into the app as a user. I see my preferred location, which is the Nexera Tower. I can find out more around the building and the location and services that are available. I can have hyperlinks that will redirect me to other web sources if needed. On the left side is really focused on the employee comms. At the top is what we called a broadcast, a priority broadcast in this case. There is a crisis management. IT has discovered a cybersecurity breach. I can see the high impactful message, and as I scroll down, I can find out more about the security breach here. This broadcast will be there for as long as the administrator has set it to be. It can be scheduled, it can be manually turned on and off, and it can be also automatically broadcasted based on integration with third-party system. So for example, if the alert or the broadcast was a fire alert, it could be automated by an integration with the building management system and our APIs. Right below the broadcast is the hero banner. This can be a playlist of content, a static image, a video, anything you want. Below that, it's quick post. We'll come back to that in a minute. And right under that is what we call featured content. This is content that is pinned by one of the system administrator important messages that you want to see there for a little while. You can select that. So here we have that same crisis management announcement. Then I can navigate from one to the other. If you have videos, the videos will play back. So you can have all type of content as required. And then right below that is the chronological news feed of all the channels a user is subscribed to. So as you can see here, I'm subscribed to events, but if I scroll down, I'm also subscribed to the newsroom channel, and below that to the success story channel. What the system will do is aggregate all the content feeds from those channels and provide it in a chronological news feed. And you can just scroll down. You can select the post that you want to read more about, and then you can just navigate from one to the other by using the bottom navigation. Some content may only have high impactful messages, and some content may have articles attached to it. When you have an article, you can read through it. It's a rich text editor, so you can also have links that will redirect you to an intranet page or anything else. So as you can see here, you can have the rich text editor. So how do you access those channels? You can either use the channel groups here below that will get you directly to the different channel groups you're subscribed to a user, or you can click the more button here, go to channels. At the top are the channel group. A channel group is a group of channels, really easy. Below that are all the channels part of those channel group. If I select a specific channel group like our people, again, I enter the Our People page for that channel group. I have my hero banner. I have my channels here on the right, and I have my news feed, which is, again, a chronological view of all the news related to the channels that are here, and I can browse. I can also go directly to a channel and see only the news related to that channel. If a channel is, for example, a video, I will be able to play back the video. I'll be able to mute the video, view it full screen, and manage the speed or the playback speed of that video. Again, a video can have an article and can have links that redirect you to different destinations or call to action. Finally, for the employee comms side, there is also the ability to access videos in a video portal. Here, I only have one video, but you can have all of your videos organized and easy to access here. And then we have this concept of app links, which are basically shortcuts to productivity apps that may be useful. For example, if you want to access your payroll system or your preferred video conferencing platform to start a video call or a project management tool, and you can have as many apps as you wish. Apps may be available at the top navigation bar. They may be available just in the app section, but they can also be presented on the home page of the app, as you can see here on the right. If I quickly switch to the phone view, you'll notice feature parity. At the top, I have my broadcast. I can read through it, navigate. I scroll down. I have the featured content, and I can swipe left and right. And then I have my chronological news feed. And there at the bottom in the more section, I have all the additional features I can access and manage. So really, there's no sacrifice in the experience, whether you're on the desktop client, the mobile client, or the Microsoft Teams client. By the way, the Microsoft Teams client for mobile also has the AppSpace embedded app. So again, we're trying to be consistent in the experience we provide to users. Let's have a quick look at Quick Post. This is a huge feature. We believe that part of the engagement success in making the app adopted by all is by enabling more people to be able to contribute to channel newsfeed. So if you have editorial rights across any of the AppSpace channels published to the app, you will see that window. You may see it on the home screen, you may see it at the channel group level or at the channel, again, depending on your permissions. If I click Quick Post, I'm going to be able to select which channel I want to publish to. Again, channels that I have editorial rights to. I'm going to select Holiday and Observances. I can make that publish to multiple channels at one time. I can select the author. So if I don't want to publish under my name, but maybe publish under an alias, or maybe I'm publishing on behalf of the CEO, I will be able to select the author. And then I can use the scheduling to say this post should go out today and potentially stay there until July 8th, and then after be removed automatically. I can also use tagging rules. Tagging rules will allow the right content to be delivered to the right users, but to also the right digital communication channels. We'll talk about that in a second. Next, you upload the file that you want to do. So I'm going to take the opportunity that we're in the months here to add a post. This will upload the file. I'm going to go ahead and type a little text while it uploads. And when the text is ready and the file is uploaded, I will see my post button be able to allow me to publish it. So let's just give it a few seconds as it uploads the file and then just click post. In this case, I did an instant publishing, so the post will immediately appear in the employee app. So as I scroll down, you notice in the chronological newsfeed, I now have that post. Now you probably heard the sound here that beeped. That's because this AppSpace channel, Holidays and Observances, is not only published to the employee app, it's also published to Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to go ahead and open my Microsoft Teams client, and you'll notice there's an activity here in activity level. I can actually click on it, and I can see that that message, that post that I just published, is already published into a Microsoft Teams channel. So I can read through it. I have a call. If I click on the link, it opens the AppSpace app. So the user can be redirected to complete, to read the full article and eventually access call to action. In my Teams, it will appear here around the right team. So this Holiday and Observances is actually published into the Our People Holiday and Observances. So as you can see, 9:40, that's my time. That message was delivered in that specific channel. That's a great way to engage your users, not only in the AppSpace app, but also in their preferred app. And that integration exists also for Slack, WebEx, and Facebook Workplace. Now that channel is also published to SharePoint. So you'll notice that those are 3 AppSpace channels that exist in the AppSpace app. They're also published into SharePoint. And as you can see, the message I just posted is now part of that playlist. So again, this concept of creating content once, publishing it from the AppSpace app, but delivering across all your AppSpace digital comms channel, which include the AppSpace app, Microsoft Teams channel, SharePoint and Viva Connection. And also, if I go here, as you can see, that same content is also available on my digital signs. You also have the ability to publish to email alias, email groups, individual email users. This makes AppSpace the only true multi-digital communication channel platform where from the employee app, you can publish across all those digital channels. And as mentioned by David, end of the year, we will introduce the ability to publish to SMS messages as well. So that was for the comms side of the employee app. Now let's have a look at the workplace management capabilities. Again, my preferred location is in Nexera Tower. Right below there are all my upcoming reservations. So I have a number of reservations made. If I have a visitor, upcoming visitor, it will also show up here. I can click view more and it will get me to the reservations tab of the app where I can see all my upcoming reservation. If a reservation is ready for check-in or is already in progress, I will have call action buttons, extend and end, that allow me to manage that reservation. I can also select any of the reservation, modify the reservation or cancel the reservation. What's interesting is those call to actions, check-in and extend, are also going to be notifying you in Microsoft Teams, WebEx, Slack. So you have the ability to also be notified in your preferred app and not only in the AppSpace app. Let's go to places. I can do 2 things here. And again, it depends on how the administrator has to set up the system. I can book a building pass. This means I'm requesting access to the Nexera Tower for a specific day. I can just go ahead and make that reservation. I can also, in this scenario, reserve a workspace. Below the Nexera Tower, I can see my most recently reserved spaces and the most recently reserved rooms. If I select the building, I can see all the available spaces. I can see the ones that are occupied and by who they're occupied. And that is only if the user has made this public information. I can use the filter to narrow my search and say, well, I'm actually looking for a space on the 1st floor as part of the product design group, and I want a phone on the desk. And then you click say apply, and it will show you the resources that match your criteria. You can then access the floor plan to actually zoom in onto the area that you selected. So that was the zone that I located, product design. I can zoom in. I can see that I actually already have a reservation for a desk here. The filters here have translated from the previous page. I can clear the filters. It will zoom out and show me my whole floor plan. If I have multiple floors, I can navigate across floors. I can book rooms, desk, access to the fitness center. I can even order my own meal in the restaurant if that was needed. We will also, all the reservations you make in AppSpace are also in full sync with Outlook, which means that when you create a reservation in AppSpace, it creates a reservation in Outlook, and you will get your reminders both in AppSpace and Outlook. You can configure if you don't want to be overloaded by notifications as well. So as you can see, I open my Outlook and you can see that I have an Outlook add-in as well. So if I'm not making the reservations from AppSpace, I can make the reservations from Outlook and have that same experience inside Outlook as the experience I have on my AppSpace app. Well, let's go ahead and make a reservation. I'm going to book a desk, click reserve. I can make that as a recurring reservation or unique. I can make it private or public. If I make it private, people will not be able to see that I'm sitting in this office or at a specific desk. I click confirm. I will get a message. You'll notice my avatar appeared immediately. And in my reservations tab, the reservation I just made is now available as well. And if I open that reservation, you see all the information related to the reservation as well as a QR code. This can be enabled or disabled. This will grant you access to the resource or allow you to check in at the resource. We also integrate with security badging systems so that the badging system queries AppSpace to confirm you have a valid reservation for a building, a floor, a neighborhood, or a resource. Finally, the visitors, which is, again, this is this idea of a single app. It's already challenging to deploy an app to users. If you have to deploy multiple apps, one for employee comm, one for workspace reservation, one for visitor management, you're going to get a lot of pushback and you're going to be challenged in getting user adoption. One app with AppSpace allows you to do all of this. So here I have the ability to access the visitor option, click invite a new visitor. I can select an email. It will that exists or create a new user from scratch, say where I want to host that visitor, when I want to host, for what purpose, click send invite. It will create a record in the AppSpace app to confirm you've successfully invited your visitor. That visitor is currently expected. And as a host, I have a preview of the registration form. So as you can see, this is the information I inputted, but I have the ability to see whether or not my visitor has already checked in. When my visitor gets on site, they'll be able to check in, but they will also receive an email invite with the invitation to pre-register and complete any of the required fields before visiting the office. That does include the ability to sign an NDA, complete a self-screening questionnaire, upload your ID or anything else. And again, the host, throughout the journey of the registration process and visit, will be notified in the AppSpace app, but also in Microsoft Teams, WebEx, and Slack. That kind of wraps up the overall demo. As you can see, there's a lot to do in AppSpace. What's really awesome is that capability of doing all of it in a single app across any of the your preferred devices and preferred apps already today. And this unique feature of the ability to create content from the AppSpace app and publish it across multiple digital communication channels that all tie into AppSpace. With that, I will pass it back to you, David.
Thanks, Thomas. Yeah, that lot to go through on that to show off as much as we possibly can in our short time. So let me take back over here. Absolutely, like I said, a lot to cover. So the AppSpace Employee app, just to kind of recap what we were talking about there, it's both workplace comms and workplace reservations to really help you manage and create that great workplace experience. For employees, it increases engagement. You're going to reach them where they are, and hopefully in the end, boost productivity, increase retention of your top talent. For the workplace comms, you're really helping to marry that and unify that physical experience around the physical workplace, around the office experience, with some of the workplace management tools like space reservation for desks and rooms, and checking in and visitor management. So that all connects there with the employee app. So again, thanks, Thomas, for taking us through that. I do want to mention, if we want to learn more about the employee app or just anything in general, just a shameless plug here for us. In July, in just a couple weeks, we're going to have AppSpace Beyond, which is our user conference that we do annually. This is the second year that we've done it. It is a virtual event, so please feel free to join and sign up. You can see some of the times there. You can just go to our website, appspace.com/beyond. You'll see it as soon as you log onto our website. You'll see that you can go register. Highly encourage anybody, whether you use AppSpace today or have never used AppSpace, to go register for our Beyond conference. You will see a lot of what we talked about today, plus a ton more, and maybe even see cameos by me and Thomas on a couple of places as well. Other thing I want to mention, on the right side, you should see the opportunity where you can download handouts. There is one handout in there for the AppSpace employee app. So if you just need to share some information, maybe with a colleague or somebody that didn't join today, I encourage you, go ahead and download that PDF. And it'll talk a lot about what we talked about today, but easy to share with somebody that maybe didn't join us today.
And then David, we have a couple questions that have come in.
Awesome.
First question is, can the AppSpace desktop app publish to an email alias? And if so, could you describe how that works?
So I can take that one. I did answer in the chat window already, but yeah, so from an AppSpace channel, you can actually publish a channel to workplace devices, digital signs, video devices. You can publish to users in the AppSpace app, to individual users. User groups are based on location. You can publish to a messaging app like Microsoft Teams, WebEx, or Slack. You can publish to the web, like, for example, SharePoint or an intranet. And you can publish to emails. When you're publishing to emails, you can select one of the available templates. For example, a single post email, that's for an announcement or a daily update, or a multi-post, which would be, for example, for a weekly newsletter or a monthly newsletter. You can schedule when those will go out, and all of that can be initiated from updating a post either through the quick post, so the AppSpace desktop app or the mobile app, or doing it from the admin console at a channel level.
Perfect. Next question, are there certain industries that you have seen be more interested in, or are you seeing the employee app be more adopted in?
Well, I think we see the app being adopted across industry. AppSpace has over 2,500 customers. A lot of those are Fortune 500 large enterprises, and we'll see the app being used in finance, in manufacturing, or in tech industry, for example, very commonly. And again, depending on the use case, whether you're using the employee comms side of the app, the workplace management, or both, this will address your desk workers or frontline workers. But I think one thing that's really powerful with AppSpace, if you don't have an AppSpace account, you go on appspace.com, you create a free account, you will be able to immediately start loading the employee app. It actually takes a very little amount of time to set up the app and then roll it out to your employees. I think the ease of use, self-service platform concept makes the app very accessible to everyone.
And then also one question is, what is the process to get or like set up the employee app for a customer?
Well, we have a few more minutes, so I'm happy to share my screen and just show how the backend works in 2 seconds. I'm gonna go and see. Can you see my screen or not?
No, it's just me. I think I'm the presenter right now.
I think, okay. Click show my screen.
There
that should work. So I'm just gonna log in. So what you saw earlier was the employee app view. From the employee app, the administrator can toggle to the admin view. So this was the employee app. If you have admin permission, you switch to the admin view. AppSpace is a platform, it's not a point product. So when you load, you'll see on the product page, digital signage, visitor management, space, res, kiosk. You basically will decide what to enable for your users. And then on the left bar there, this is where you set your users. You tell which user has access to the AppSpace app. To have access to the AppSpace app, you have to have a premium user license. And then when you go at the app level, app configuration, you will set your branding. So this is the fake Nexera logo. That's a weird name. And the accent color. the sections, what you want to enable, the home, video section, workplace management. If I turn off, for example, workplace management and I click save, when I go to the employee app, you'll notice that those features are no longer there at the navigation level. So it's really simple to set up the app, to configure it. You can go also configure your banner graphic. Again, you can tie to a web page, a media, a playlist, an AppSpace channel, anything you want. And then you can also configure all your app shortcuts. Again, super simple to set up. So what's cool is when you create an AppSpace account, you'll get to the administrative page, and then you'll be able to immediately toggle to the employee app view. It will be empty by default because you haven't configured anything. And then you just go and start configuring it. And then the last thing you need to do, and I'm going to switch to the admin view once again, at a channel level, when you will configure a channel, you'll be able to decide where that channel is going. And this is what we were talking about, the ability to publish a channel. So here's my holiday and observances. This is the channel that had where I uploaded my content. You can see it's published to Teams here. If I go to publish section, you can see that this is where I actually decide which users, which devices, which apps, which web destinations are actually receiving the AppSpace channel. So it's quite easy, but if you need help in the first time setup, we're of course happy to jump on a call and assist you.
Nice. Thanks. Damon, any other questions that came in?
No, that was all. That was all. You hit some of the other additional questions with Thomas's answer right there.
Perfect. I think that wraps it up for today. So I do want to say thank you. I'll pass it off to Damon to take us out.
Yes, once again, thank you all for joining us. Also, we want to remind you that this webinar will be, we did record this webinar. We'll be providing this to you. So just make sure that you have AppSpace as as on your safe sender list. And then we've also got a quick poll. So if you would like, more information, you just can answer yes on this quick poll. And then that will allow us, we'll follow up with you shortly afterwards. So we'll give a few minutes for everyone to answer the poll. And then after that, like I said, we will send this webinar recording out to you. And then, yeah, I mean, look, we're giving you 3 minutes back in your day. There's nothing more valuable than a webinar that ends early. So hopefully you'll enjoy the 3 minutes. And if you all have any more questions, we'll be following up with y'all, and have a good day.